president.
Oh, you're the president.
Yeah.
Chair.
Hi, I'm Brad Walsh.
Brad,
I'm from Fort Dakota.
nice, okay.
So we're
We'll stick
doing-
around after public comments and, or whenever you need us.
Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting for Monday, March 3rd, 2025. And we will begin with a roll call and determination of quorum.
Lehman. Maher. Roberts. Stroman. Pettigrew. Sechrist. Beaverdorf. Ham. Evans. Roseland. We have a quorum.
Next, we will have an invocation by Joshua Lee, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able and willing, would you please rise? And Joshua, I don't know you, so if you're here, you can go to the podium right over here. And he may not be here, so we will have a moment of silence instead. Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda. A motion by Lehman, second by Roberts to adopt the agenda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The agenda is adopted. Tonight, we actually have a special presentation from our Disability Awareness and Accessibility Committee. Tammy Hopp will join us here and give us an update on the good work that these fine folks are doing. Hi, Tammy.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Glad to be here. And we have our PowerPoint up on the screen. First of all, gratitude to all of you for serving the community as you do, and also for welcoming us here tonight. As the slide indicates, we are celebrating our 50 years, but we hope this presentation will not happen again in 50 years, but will be an annual update to the council on the good work of the Disability Awareness and Accessibility Committee. So what is the Disability Awareness and Accessibility Committee? Well, it's in the name. And the common theme that you'll hear throughout the next 5 minutes or less is that we really promote accessibility in our community as really a goal and a vision that benefits people of all abilities, whether it's employers hiring valued employees, people visiting our community, and of course the citizens who live here. We were founded 50 years ago, as I said, by Mayor Don Barnett, which remarkably was 15 years before the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that says a lot about our community with regard to the commitment to accessibility. The goal of the committee, or the mission of the committee, is to advance, support, and promote equal inclusion and well-being of people with disabilities in all aspects of community life in Rapid City. We have a team of 11 volunteers who I have to use part of my time to thank, because this committee would not happen, the work that we do could not happen if not for a terrific engagement by every one of those 11 citizens who have stood up to volunteer their time. So I'm really grateful to the team that is behind me to make this work happen. And as I said, for 50 years, the goal has been to make Rapid City a truly inclusive place for people of all abilities to live. What we do: we facilitate citizen concerns related to ADA compliance with access to public places and services. So what that looks like is that we will often receive questions from citizens, concerns by citizens, which we then connect with the right resource, whether it's a city official that can be of help, an organization that can be of help, or to real solutions. One real world example, Councilman Evans, for example, helped with Jeff Beegler in the Parks and Rec to get a lift at the Whirlpool at Roosevelt Park. Just a simple thing that, for whatever reason, hadn't been addressed until a citizen brought it to our attention, and it was almost overnight that was made possible. And that's a benefit to not just that one citizen, but of course any person who has a mobility challenge in getting in the Whirlpool at Roosevelt. So that's just one example of many of how our committee can facilitate citizen concerns and solutions. We network with other disability service and advocacy organizations. We raise awareness through PSAs. We've done some PSAs relating to parking, and it's in particular during the Sturgis Rally where motorcycles can park and not park relative to accessible parking spots. We participate in city study groups and plans. Currently, our members are on 6 different study groups or city committees helping city solve the comprehensive care plan, or the comprehensive plan, for example, or the Safe Routes for All study group. We organize activities that demonstrate the positivity and possibilities of inclusion. The ADA Resource Fair, which in the past has been called the ADA Picnic, is our seminal event every year. It's always held on the anniversary of the Americans with Disability Act, and it's really designed to bring resources to people with disabilities, so organizations and businesses that make life living easier and better for somebody with a disability. We connect them with the resources that they needed on that one day in Main Street Square. We host an all-ability skate. We're in our 4th year, which has really been a very joyful event, bringing people of all abilities, people who maybe before have never enjoyed ice skating with their family. They can all get on the ice and have a good time. We give an appreciation award to organizations and entities that have shown exceptional dedication to people with disabilities. And this year we're celebrating, as I said, our 50th anniversary, so we'll be having an open house in City Hall the morning of September 15th, just to, again, raise awareness, let citizens of Rapid City know that we exist and are a resource should they need it. Whoops, went the wrong way. And why does it matter? An accessible, inclusive committee is what we all want for people who live here and those who are visiting. Your friends, neighbors, volunteers, and coworkers with disabilities comprise a significant segment of Rapid City's population. I've offered some statistics of note here. In South Dakota, 1 in 4 people experience a disability, which translates to 31% of healthcare spending. 15% of Rapid City drivers have an accessible parking permit, and over 2,000 children are in special education here in our school district. So, and these are numbers, but they're also humans. They're people. They are seniors. They are people with medical conditions. They are individuals who might be recovering from surgery. They're moms and dads with strollers. I mean, again, an accessible city really benefits all of us, and that is the goal of the Disability Awareness and Accessibility Committee. And how do we compare? Many cities have established advisory committees like ours and serve as advocacy groups for people with disabilities. I don't know how many can brag about celebrating 50 years, I just don't know, but we're not alone in making accessibility a commitment in our community. A really terrific update that is really just within the last month, Marlo Capsa in the planning projects in the planning department, the community development department, she's the planning projects division manager, is the newly appointed ADA coordinator. Our relatively new HR director, Amber Cornella, really got into the weeds of what it meant to be an effective ADA coordinator. It was before her title. It has always been housed in HR, but she saw the vision of assigning somebody whose reach was a little bit broader throughout the community to do the good work of an ADA coordinator. So we're really excited to have her on board in this role. She joined our meeting last month and is really excited and I think happy to be also contributing in this way. So we're super grateful for that. Looking ahead, what we do have a comprehensive transition plan, which is a requirement of the ADA. It's a bit dated. It was last updated in 2011. We would really love as a goal going forward for an updated transition plan. This is just something that is a self-audit of a community and a city and how we're doing with regard to ADA compliance, Americans with Disabilities Act compliance, and accessibility. So that would be a goal of our committee, but overall we've been really pleased with the city officials that have come to our committee and shared their vision within their own departments with regard to accessibility. And again, I think we can see some really neat things happening with Marlo on board with our committee as well. So if you have any questions, this is how we can be reached. And again, just profound gratitude for even allowing this work and again, sustaining it for 50 years. It really represents a vision with accessibility close at heart. It's something we value significantly as a group, but to see that reflected in the community and its departments in the city and its departments is really meaningful. So thank you very much. And our next order of business.
Well, before we get there,
Okay.
Tammy,
Oh, sorry. Yes.
we're going to stay on item number 1 here because
Okay.
I have some council members who want to chime in.
Yes.
We will first go to Councilor Evans.
I just want to thank you, Tammy, for preparing that little short presentation for us. I think it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, but this is a committee that does really good work, and it's a great privilege for me to serve on that with you. And I think the stat that you pointed out, that we were ahead of the curve in Rapid City, I've always felt that we've made an effort to accommodate earlier than most places, and our planning and our construction that we do for the city always seems to accommodate ADA design, so I'm really proud of that. But that stat that we were 15 years earlier shows that just because you're a conservative town, you don't, it doesn't go by the old adage, 2 good feet that can't take a step forward. It looks like Rapid City does step forward when challenged with these really necessary goals. So thank you very much for this today.
Well, thank you, and thank you for serving as our liaison. I would completely agree. Each of the department heads that have come before us have, as I said, if they're looking forward and have vision, accessibility is right in the core of what they're planning, so we appreciate that.
Now, Councilor Stroman would like to chime in.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd also like to thank Tammy and her committee for the work that they do. The importance of this can't be overstated because until you deal with a close friend or family member, I think some of us have a tendency to overlook the needs. And I think back to the old it's still the Barnett Arena, but before we had the Monument Arena, my brother had recently had a stroke and he lost the use of his right arm and leg. And I took him to the Elton John concert and we got on the concourse after much work, after going through the one elevator and getting up to, he wanted to sit in the stands like everybody else. And so we went up on the concourse and there was a railing that you could walk up to the concourse, or from the concourse up to the seating area. But then when you wanted to go down to your seat, there's no railing. And these are sharp edge stairs, stonework. And he was falling on me and I was almost falling over. And I thought, well, what if we both went down here and, crashed our head on one of those things? And it just kind of shows how important it is. I know that ADA considerations were part of what got us going on the Monument Arena, but I hope that we can continue to be aware and make places more accessible for people with challenges like that. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that story. Thank you.
And so next we're going to move on to item 2, which is a presentation of the committee of an award to the
Yes.
Rapid City Parks and Recreation Department, including
Yes.
Director Beegler and our
Yes.
incredible staff. So if you all can meet me right up here, that'd be great.
Yes, thank you.
So this is great. We are able to have the committee recognize community members when they go above and beyond serving people of all abilities. And I'm very proud of our Parks and Recreation Department tonight for receiving this award. If you don't know, they're outstanding. They manage 1,700 acres of park space. And obviously our crown jewel this last year was the completion of the Dinosaur Park renovation project, which made it accessible to people of all abilities for the first time. And I remember how I felt going up there, with people who have been in a wheelchair and going up, and people in strollers and all sorts of situations that had never seen that view before. Now they can. And one of my favorite Vision Fund projects of all time, thanks to the hard work of our team. And so I'm going to hand it back over to Tammy. And Tammy, the floor is yours, ma'am.
I did get a little excited about this part because I was, as Mayor Solomon said, they could not be more deserving. And I want to introduce my committee, co-committee folks, Tor and Steve, who are here to help me with this award. But from the lift at Roosevelt Pool, which is really behind the scenes, there was no headlines about it, to Dinosaur Park, which is just an amazing resource for everybody, people of all abilities, and everything in between. When Jeff came to speak to our committee, as I said in the presentation, it was clear that in looking at his long-range plan for the department and even the work since, that accessibility, this department wants people of all abilities to enjoy our natural resources. So this is an award we have given in the past, and we are committed to now giving annually. But as we've rebranded the award, we couldn't think of a better recipient than Jeff and his team at the Parks and Rec of Rapid City. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I really don't have a whole lot to say there. I just do want to thank the committee for all of the work they do, the tireless efforts of bringing issues of inclusion and accessibility to the community. We're very privileged to be working with them and also with other groups in Rapid City, such as the Black Hills Works group and the South Dakota Special Olympics. Of course, we're very proud that we're working with them on the. We worked with them last year on the bocce complex, and perhaps we'll be working some more with that group. I just want to again state that we are committed, and I don't speak just on behalf of our department, but all of the departments in the city. We are committed in providing the best facilities and programs available to all residents of Rapid City. And I just want to thank everybody for their involvement. And I would like to finally say that this would not all be possible without the support of our mayor and the city council. The folks that are up here behind us all the time, every meeting, are working tirelessly for the residents of Rapid City, and that's all of the residents. So I do thank you once again, and carry on.
Yeah,
all right.
Thank you so much.
You bet.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Appreciate it.
We get
Okay, item 2 is completed, and we will now move on to general public comment, a time for members of the public to discuss or express concerns to the council on any issue not on the agenda. Action will not be taken at the meeting on any issue not on the agenda, except by placement on the agenda by a unanimous vote of the council members present. I do have a couple of speaker request forms. The first one is Dane Sensor. Mr. Sensor, you have 3 minutes over at the podium, and the indicator lights are right above me, sir.
Where?
Right
Right
above
up
me.
there,
You'll see
okay.
when it's yellow, you have 30 seconds to go.
Don't start me yet. Let me get set up first. Thank you. Yes, my name is Dane Sensor. First, I'd like to start out, can I see a show of hands from anybody on the board, council, police chief, fire chief, who knows when National Flag Day is this year? One person, two people. You didn't cheat on Google, did you? So two people out of all these people know what date it is. You know, I think that's sort of a sad thing to know because that's our flag. You know how many veterans, women, men have died? I'll tell you how many in the wars. 600,336 men and women died for that flag. I would think we know when Flag Day is in this city, but and that's not even counting the ones that died suffering. I think there's 30 million in wars that died. My point is this: I did first flag event in San Diego, January 29th, in Jack Murphy Stadium. We had to get 2,500 people to do a human flag there. This was July 29th, 1991. Patriotism was at all high then, okay? At that particular time, 89%. We were trying to get 2,500 people. You know how many people showed up in that parking lot that night before? 32,000. We raised over $85,000 selling $1 posters and donated to the USO. Okay? 32,000. Today, patriotism, you know what it's at? 28% in America. Do you know where South Dakota lies as the most patriotic state? 24th. States like Hawaii, Maine, Maryland are ahead of them. I would be embarrassed if I lived in South Dakota. I do live in South Dakota, by the way, but I'm embarrassed of the fact that we're 24th on the patriotism. Everybody thinks this is a patriotic state, but I don't think you can take credit when you're 24th. And my brother came here 5 years ago to bring the world's largest American flag. You can't believe the response, the negativity, you can't do it, you're not going to be able to do it, that we were greeted by. We were in shock, okay? You would think we were bringing a pandemic in 2020. We were bringing the world's largest American flag, which, by the way, our family spent $65,000 on our own personal money to bring that flag. Guess what? July 3rd, it happened. We did it. You can go watch the video. It's over 5 million views so far, okay? We were in shock how we were greeted. I even had an ex-senator,
Mr.
state senator.
Setzer, I'm sorry, your time's up.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that
Goes
went
by fast. Thank you.
Anyway, there's our website.
All right. Next up, we have James Bialotta.
Am I ready?
Whenever you're ready, sir.
Thank you, council members and mayor. I was here in January. I specifically put items on the record, gave them to each member of the council and for the recording staff. Yet somehow, somebody broke the rules and did not put them into the minutes. And I'm asking that you correct those minutes. This is getting serious. The nature of the complaint, and let's go over it real fast, that you had officers attack a disabled veteran on his own property for only asserting his Miranda rights is disgusting. The fact that you have veterans and disabled groups out here tonight, do you tell them, yeah, while you're not looking, we beat up disabled vets at their own home? In front of their wife and kids? I'm pleading that you call the Department of Justice, per your agreement, the settlement to not prosecute you was that they could open the claim at any time. I am now asking that each member of the council and the mayor self-report to the DOJ these accusations for a proper investigation. And just so you know, I did drop paperwork for my notice of intention to sue the city, and I will amend it to add each council member who fails to report these claims of police brutality and misconduct. And I gotta applaud Chief Hendricks. They only waited till the third phone call after, and this is within hours of me filing intention to sue with the city, a mere hours, to call me up and accuse me of a crime of threatening this city. That's the kind of retaliation I'm talking about, folks, that it only took a mere hours before I was threatened with a crime for filing legal documents. You should be ashamed. You should be ashamed of the dirty police. Solomon, I gotta ask you, are you a man of God or a man of gold? Judas only sold us out once. You've done it multiple times. I have the video evidence that your officers attacked us. You refused to look at it. Not only that, your officers failed to disclose it to me, to my family, to the public, to show how dirty you are. And here you are giving people benefits for how great you do with disabled vets and disabled people, but refuse to tell them how you took all the handicap spots from the Civic Center and demand payment for anybody that has a handicap van. So when it comes down to it, you are a man of gold. You prefer gold over justice. That you jacked the rates of every legal handicap spot at the Civic Center to $20 and offered zero
sorry.
legal ones in
Your
return.
time's up, James.
Thank you. Come collect your 30 pieces of silver.
That will conclude general public comment, and we will move on to non-public hearing items 3 through 41 and open public comment for items 3 through 33. I do not have any speaker request forms for those items, so we will close the public comment and move on to consent items 3 through 33. Would the council wish to remove any items for separate consideration or vote on the remaining balance? Councilor Roberts.
Thank you. Item 16.
Any other items? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, Councilor Pettigrew.
Items 12 and 14, please.
Okay. Any other items? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the remaining balance with the exception of 12, 14, and 16? Motion by Sechrist, second by Roseland. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 12. Authorize staff to purchase 2025 one-ton 4x4 long box truck from Lamb Motors with state contract number 17618 in the amount of $50,615. Councilor Pettigrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just wanting to confirm what department is that for, please?
Okay. Parks Department is chiming in.
Yes, Jeff.
Yes, that is a vehicle. Actually, both of the items that you pulled are vehicles for the Parks and Recreation Department.
Thank you. That's all I need to know for 12 and 14.
Okay. Motion by Bieberdorf, second by Evans to approve item 12. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, authorize staff to purchase two 2025 Ram 2500 Crew Cab 4x4 trucks from Liberty Chrysler Center with matching state contract, pricing in the amount of $48,661,000 each for a total price of $97,322. Councilor Pettigrew?
I believe Jeff answered that when he answered number 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We got a motion by Evans, second by Stroman to approve. Councilor Sechrist, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was going to chime in here and just for clarification on the agenda item, there's a lot of questions on there because there's no description detail of who or what this item is intended for or what replacement schedule the equipment's been added to the agenda for. So I just wanted to provide that feedback for future staff requests as well, that we need to know what this purchase is for, especially when we're talking about equipment that's $50,000, what the replacement schedule looks like, and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Okay. All right, the motion on the floor is to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 16, approve request from Sustainability Committee for $1,250 for sustainability branded shirts. Funds to be taken from council contingency and moved to mayor's office under sustainability. John Roberts, you pulled this item, sir? Floor is yours.
I did. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I pulled this because I won't be voting for this, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. One, you know, it's a very small amount out of a $200 million budget, but a lot of small amounts add up to a large amount. And, you know, it's something I don't think that I've seen before where we're buying clothing for committees. I mean, when does it stop? Are we going to go from committees to, you know, to who knows what? I mean, I think it's a bad, number two is I think this is a bad precedent to set. You know, if this is something that this committee wants, I know this committee has a budget. They should sit down, take a look at their budget for 2026, and it should be something that's worked into their budget. I don't think a supplemental is appropriate for this, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Pettigrew.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate you, Councilman Roberts, your comments on that. I attend these meetings. I'm not on the committee. I'm not the liaison. This committee works hard in trying to create a sustainability platform for the city. They do get funding from the city. I don't know, sitting here, how much? $2,000 a year. They work hard. They attend a lot of events. They spend a lot of money on equipment for those events. And I believe it'd be in the city's best interest to fund these shirts. They go to all these events all over the Black Hills. It promotes Rapid City. And I just feel for as little money as they get from us, this is a good step forward in trying to support them. I see Dave Holland is here. He's the chairman of the committee. I don't know, Dave, if you'd want to make any comments. Can I do that, Mr. Mayor?
It just eat up from your time, but
Okay. So I don't know, Dave, if you want to make any comments or not.
Yeah, so we do get, you're right, Bill, we do get $2,000 a year, and at the end of the year, we usually end up with, you know, a couple $100. We have to, you know, pay for a website, we have to pay for, you know, when we go to various events, we're going to the home show. The home show takes about a third of our budget. Most of our budget is spoken for. We did take $500 that was left over of last year's budget to put towards these shirts, and we were doing fundraisers and contributing our own money, and Rod witnessed that at one of the meetings and suggested that we go this route. We were perfectly happy to pay our own money for it, but he said that this could potentially be an avenue that we could explore, and so we did. So that's why it's here.
anything else, Mr. Pettigrew? We're good? Okay. Councilor Seacrest?
Thank you, Mayor. I just had a quick clarification question. Mr. Holland, maybe you can answer this too. On the agenda item itself, it says we're talking about $1,200 for t-shirts, but once you click into it, it talks about a sustainability conference allocation as well. And so I didn't know, is this request only for the $1,200 to go towards the t-shirts, or is this a total $5,000 request?
No, it's just for the shirts. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
I think you're noting a memo that was probably attached to it. Good question. Yep. All right, Councilor Roseland?
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with Councilman Pettigrew. I've been on as a liaison for this committee for 2 years, and I've kind of spoke up a couple times to see if we can get this, their $2,000 allotment a year raised to $5,000. And I'd like to see that when the next budget comes around, that the council as a whole can increase their funding to $5,000, so they have room to feel comfortable without being stressed out trying to get their ideas of the sustainability and what that does for the hills and Rapid City as a whole. And I just think that they're doing a great job, and I will vote for this item. Thank you.
Councilor Evans?
Thank you, Mayor. And I'd just like to point out that we're sort of in our infancy when it comes to the sustainability movement. When we took our trip down to Fort Collins a couple of years ago, I know Miss Chris was along on that. I think we have one person in our sustainability department. I believe, didn't they have like 16 or 18 and a budget in the millions? So I don't think this $1,200 is too much to ask for that. And hopefully we'll see sometime in the future as the sustainability movement starts to pay off in terms of savings, and it ends up saving money rather than costing money, that we'll see our budget increasing in Rapid City as well. So thank you.
Okay, well, I am awaiting a motion for this item. Got a motion by Evans with a second by Roseland. Whoop, you just spoke, so I'll take a motion by Roseland. Yes. Second by Evans to approve this. All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Aye. I think that's Lehman, Roberts, and Maher are no's, and Ham. Wow, that's pretty good, I guess. So sounds like it passes 6-4. Thank you, everyone. That takes us to the end of consent items. We will move on to non-consent items 34 through 41 and open public comment. For items 34 through 41, I do not have any speaker request forms for those items, so we will close the public comment. For items 34 through 41 and move on to item number 34, second reading of ordinance number 6653, an ordinance to fix clerical errors in section 8.24.300 and 8.24.610 of the Rapid City Municipal Code. All right, motion by Evans, second by Roseland to approve. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 35, second reading of ordinance number 6654, an ordinance amending Rapid City Municipal Code, section 3.26, regarding the tax increment financing district review process. Got a motion by Roberts. Was that a second by Evans? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 36, authorize mayor and finance director to sign professional services agreement with RDG Planning and Design for Parks and Recreation Master Plan Project PR 24-6195, amount not to exceed $300,000. This item was continued from the February 3rd City Council meeting. Motion by Sechrist, second by Roseland to approve, and we will move on to some councilor comments, beginning with Greg Stroman.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question. I don't recall the discussion previously, but would I be able to direct a question to Director Beegler?
Yes.
So, Jeff, what is this master plan for, and what have we done in the past for master plans and things like that?
All right, the question is
Give me a
directed to
little
Parks and
history.
Recreation Director Jeff Beegler. Jeff, I'm going to chime you in here. There you go.
Thank you for the question. Yes, this master plan will be a kind of a guiding document for the Parks and Recreation Department as we begin to grow, and as we are expecting massive growth coming up. It is more important than ever that we have a kind of a blueprint for how parks and facilities should be developed going forward, as well as how to address perhaps some of the issues that we've got in our existing park inventory and that sort of thing. This is a document that is traditionally done in Parks and Rec departments throughout the country every 5 years or so. Our last Parks and Rec master plan was from 2007. And it was a plan that was done in-house, and the end product was kind of more of an inventory than it was a guiding document. So what this will do is it'll dig into fine detail, taking into account a lot of public input from your group, as well as input from other stakeholder groups throughout the community, and really find out what the community is looking for in their Parks and Recreation offerings, and like I say, outlining a blueprint for going forward with those improvements.
Thank you, Jeff. And just and how was this particular consultant selected?
We went through a consultant selection process where we put out a request for proposals. We received a number of proposals, and we whittled it down and did award the proposal to this company, RDG.
Thank you. I yield.
Okay. Counselor Evans, the floor is yours.
Thank you. You know, a plan like this, I think, is critical, especially at a time when we're talking about a comprehensive plan for the overall city, and this becomes part of that. I know Mr. Bigler's been hearing me bellyache that we don't have a master plan of the parks for about 5 years now, and so I'm happy to see this going forward. The reality is we do have a lot of parkland in this town, but a lot of it's sort of indeterminate, you know, usability. What parts should we be mowing? What parts should we be returning to wilderness so we don't have to maintain them that way? A lot of the floodplain land falls into that category. What we lack in this town are neighborhood parks for children to play in. And hopefully that is going to be addressed in this comprehensive plan. But another good use of this sort of thing, whether it's in the arts world, sporting world, or whatever, we have people wanting to leave a legacy. And if they can see, I could pay for that park. And we have people, and I know Mr. Pettigrew and I have got some older friends, they just don't know how to spend their money and give it to the city. When you give them a vehicle in which to leave something of merit to the city, they actually step up and spend it for that. And so I think a parks plan is a perfect way for them to see, you know, that would make our city beautiful for the next 100 years. So I think this is necessary, and I hope we approve it. And that's all I got to say.
Okay. That is everybody I see in the queue. So the motion on the floor is to approve. Oh, Councilor Stroman, want to use up the rest of your time?
Yes, please.
All right.
I was just following up on Mr. Evans. On the Kello News last week, they had a deal where one of the Kirby family members donated some money to the Midcoast Swim Center there in Sioux Falls. And she talked about her desire to have someday a park within a mile of every house in Sioux Falls. I don't know if we can attain that, but Bill is right. We need neighborhood parks that are accessible. I know that Councilman Lehman and Roberts have worked hard on one in the in their ward, and I think that's pretty important stuff. And the thing about, you know, Mayor Tenhaken was on the news too, and he talked about these private-public partnerships and how Sioux Falls gains from a lot of those. He mentioned one new one in McKinnon Park, which is a friend of mine from law school, very generous donation. And if we can tap into some of those kind of things, we could probably see some real improvement in our park system. Thank you. I yield.
Okay. All right. Motion on the floor. Oh, Councilor Maher snuck in on me. There you go.
Yeah, I just have a question. I mean, and I agree you can use this plan, but I guess what I don't understand is why wasn't this part of the overall comprehensive plan, like a section or something?
Fair question. Parks Director Beekler.
We have been, we did meet with the comprehensive plan folks when they were seeking some input from our department. The comprehensive plan, having to cover the entire city, does address some need for parks or recreation facilities, but it's addressed in a very general way. That with a statement such as we need to ensure that we have high quality parks and programs for all of the community, that sort of thing, which is terrific. But it is, when it comes to the Parks and Recreation Department specifically, it lacks the real detail that is something that would come out of a master plan. So the comprehensive plan was never envisioned to be a detailed description of the Parks and Recreation Department and the way forward with that department. So really, if you can look at the two documents, one is a more general document with a comprehensive plan, and the master plan for Parks and Recreation is a more specific plan.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Roberts, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can I ask Mr. Beegler a question?
Absolutely.
Jeff, the 2007 document that you referred to, what was implemented in that? Do you know?
It was kind of heavily weighted on bike trails and pathways. And I know since that document came out, there were some general description that we need to develop trails up on Skyline Drive, which we did. So that part was implemented. Some of the trails up on the city's portion of M Hill were part of the development that also came out of that document.
So even though this was an in-house study, it sounds like you got some use out of it.
We did get some use out of it, yes, but I think it really lacked a lot of public input, and I think that is the part that's critical with any of these studies and reports, is to get a good cross-section of the community involved in supplying input for the finished document. And I think that's something that was lacking, and that's something that's very highly encouraged in this master plan.
I've seen a lot of these studies that have came through, and a lot of them that have had quite a bit of public input, and a lot of things that haven't been done through these studies. A lot of these studies, we do them, they sit on a shelf for a long time, nothing really happens because we don't have the money, but we always seem to have $300,000 or $500,000 or $1 million to do the study. We just don't have the money to implement what's put into the study. So for that reason alone, I'm going to vote against it, and I would hope that it would become an in-house study, at least for now, to see, what we need. I know that we're going to have, in the near future, one of our first new parks that we've had in a long time in Rapid City. I mean, I think the last new park that I can think of was the one that we did up in North Rapid, probably in about 2013. So, no, we did one after that. But that was paid for by private citizens. The city didn't do that one. So I think that, I'm just going to vote against it because I don't think that we're going to get what we're hoping to get out of this. I think we could do it in-house and get just as much at the moment. Thank you.
All right. Councilor Ham.
If we're going to vote on this, we probably should add a zero. It's listed at 30,000.
It's a typo.
Yeah, it's a typo. There's a typo written on it. If we're going to vote on this, fix the typo. That's my request.
He's noting on the summary, it's $300,000, folks, which is what I read into the record, by the way. But yeah, it does need a zero in that $300,000. So that is noted. Thank you, Councilor Ham, for your eagle eye. Councilor Evans, the remainder of your time.
Yeah, Mr. Roberts is not incorrect that several times, and he knows I've bellyached about this a lot over the 5 years I've been here. We spend some money on things that we have no intention of implementing, and I could list a few of these studies. However, when it comes to the comprehensive plan, and Miss Vicky over there knows, I was very adamant that this be outside of our domain because there are companies, there are organizations that specialize in thinking outside the box. They think of things we never think of when it comes to our own house. For instance, parks. How are the parks going to relate to walking visitors when they're here for a convention at the Civic Center? Things like that may not be a consideration of her department or your department or any other departments, but hopefully those kind of thoughts go into a master plan. We're supposed to be a tourist community. Where in our overall concept of thinking, in our paradigm, do we accommodate that kind of thought? But these things are important, and hopefully the master plan thinks in such a way that it accommodates us as a community that serves a certain purpose and has a certain direction and goals for the future. So Mr. Roberts is not incorrect, but I think this plan is very necessary for those kind of reasons. Thank you.
Very good. All right. So the motion on the floor is to approve. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with 2 noes from Lehman and Roberts. All right. Item 37. Approve request from CB Rapid City Housing Limited Partnership to authorize Mayor and Finance Director to sign contract amendments reducing the previously agreed on agreed upon number of low-income units from 30 units to 22 units at the Radiant Apartment Complex. This item was continued from February 18, 2025 City Council meeting. I do believe Director Ainsley has received a statement from the folks representing the Radiant Apartment Complex that he'd like to read into the record. Dan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The following is an email we received this afternoon. In light of the article posted in the Journal on February 28th, I wanted to pass along a few clarifying points before this evening's meeting. Common Bond is not reducing the number of affordable housing units we provide, displacing residents, increasing rents, or converting affordable housing units to market rate units. The rent standards for the 30 affordable units are set by a formula from HUD based on area median income for Pennington County and will remain at those levels for 40 years. There are 30 affordable units and 12 unrestricted units. The Radiant's 30 affordable units consist of the following. 3 units are restricted at rent and income levels at or below 30% of the area median income as established by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or AMI. 6 units are restricted at rent and income levels at or below 40% of AMI. 9 units are restricted at rent and income levels at or below 50% of AMI, and 12 units are restricted at rent and income levels at or below 60% of AMI. Most affordable housing programs, including the LIHTC program administered by the South Dakota Housing Authority and the Housing Trust Fund, which are also financing sources at the Radiant, use a 30% rule, which means a household should ideally spend no more than 30% of their income on housing costs. How it works in practice: calculate the AMI. HUD determines the median income for a specific geographic area, in the case of Pennington County, using the data from the American Community Survey. Apply affordability percentage threshold to find the 60% AMI. Multiply the calculated AMI by 0.6. To find the 40% AMI, multiply the calculated AMI of 0.4, etc. Calculate the affordable rent based on the 30% rule. The maximum affordable rent for a household earning 60% AMI would be calculated by taking 30% of their 60% AMI income. Our goal is to serve the lowest level of affordability, but with the long list of financing partners that these projects require to ensure the greatest level of affordability. We also need to ensure there's a way for the rent and income restrictions to work together. The amendment, as proposed, will provide greater flexibility to do that. That's it.
Okay. And that was from Common Bond, correct? All right, just wanted everybody to know that. It was sent out real late today and may not have been able to get it to you in time. So, Councilor Pettigrew, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really appreciate Common Bond getting us that information so the rest of us have an opportunity to understand it and review it. Thank you so much. It's very confusing. They came to the city, as I understand it, prior to me being on the council and requested some funding. We provided that. Then, after I got on the council, they came again and asked for more money, and we provided that. They are not living up to their agreement. Our agreement is separate from HUD, so what they signed with us, HUD's agreement has no bearing on it. And I don't know why they're not doing what they're doing. I do want to commend Daniel's department. I guess Michelle was the one who did this audit. I mean, I'm amazed that they did that. Not that they're deficient, but I'm glad they did that and found these deficiencies. Government doesn't work that way, so hats off, Daniel, to you and Michelle. But I just feel they're taking advantage of us, and in my opinion, they have one of two things to do. They can amend their agreement, give us some money back, which I think would be fair. And if they don't want to amend the agreement, Daniel can probably do some math, figure out how much they owe us, and they can send us a check. But I just feel we're being taken advantage of. And in business, I don't like it when people do that to me. You have to draw a line in the sand and I think they've drawn the line in the sand. Thank you.
All right, next we got Counselor Roberts.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I didn't see that letter yet. I don't know what time it came in. I didn't really understand it, so, because if they actually are in compliance with the 30 units, why would they be asking to take 8 of them out of that compliance?
Finance Director Daniel Ainsley answering that question.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm not sure entirely if this is what their goal is, but reading through this, I think the key point is that they had a word stating
investors. That was the key word.
I'll just say 30% rule, which means a household should ideally spend no more than 30%. The difference is that the city's requirements require that 30%. That is ideal. Or
that isn't ideal. That's
correct.
Mandatory. Yes.
Correct. So on the city's funds, it is a mandatory requirement that it's at 30%. I believe, and I'm sorry that I'm speaking for them, but I believe that's what they were trying to get at, that they do try to get it at that 30%, but the city's requirements are that they meet that 30%. Okay. And with that being said, and Michelle, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the 8 units that we found that were out of compliance, the rent was not astronomically higher than the 30%, but it was still higher than that 30%. So
I think what scared me the most, I don't want to give all my time to you, I'm sorry. No. But I think what scared me the most was when you told me that they told you that they had never been audited before. That's scary, because this is a pretty big company, and how many units do they have around the country that actually aren't into compliance with this type of money? I'm going to get out for now because I'm going to come back in and possibly make a motion here in a minute.
All right, Councilor Roseland, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a couple comments. I received phone calls from constituents over this matter, and basically 2 comments came up is a deal is a deal. A business should not get a break just because they want it. We are short of low-income housing in Rapid City. Giving up 8, isn't that a terrible item? And it's really kind of confusing, I think, how they go around this and what they started out as what they said, the 30% that the city, 30% that the city wanted. They want to divert a little bit away from that, is what I gather. And I just feel like my constituents said, I don't think we should give them that ability to do that. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Evans. Actually, Bill, before we go to you, if I could have Daniel Ainsley chime in real quick, then we'll go to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize. I know that this is a somewhat convoluted topic. I think at the heart, though, it's important for the council to understand that it's the various area median income requirements are not what is being requested to be changed. Instead, it would be that individuals that are, or families that are living in those homes cannot be charged more than 30% of their annual income. And so if they abide by the city's requirements, which they agreed to when they took the money, if they abided by that, in effect, on some of these individual families, they would have to charge even less than the 60%, 80%, whatever the calculated AMI rent standard is that their other funding requires. Just to make sure that that's hopefully somewhat clear.
Thanks for keeping us straight. All right, Councilor Evans.
I'd like Ms. Fisher, if she could, to refresh our memory because she probably remembers better than I. Was this community block development block monies, or were we just giving them concessions in terms of other things that were needed for them to complete the project? Because I remember voting on some things, but it's a little sketchy.
Director Fisher?
I think what you're recalling is at one of the committee meetings, I noted that this property is also in a planned development overlay, and that as a part of that, we did put pretty dense numbers on this property in consideration of the affordable housing element that it's bringing to our community. And in going back and checking the stipulations of approval as to whether or not that would require a major amendment to the plan development, the language in the STIPs is loose enough that it wouldn't require a major amendment, but we would have to do a minimal amendment to change that number from 30 to a lesser number.
And I, like Mr. Pettigrew, have some trepidation about changing, switching oars in the middle of the stream. I think it really kind of convolutes our credibility moving forward with other developers, and so I think we have to hold fast on this particular one. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Councilor Pettigrew, 2 minutes, 33 seconds left in your time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Pat's comments, I don't get much feedback from citizens, but I got a lot of feedback on this, and it got people's attention, so that got my attention. I've talked to Daniel several times on this issue, and he found two, correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel, in this, I don't want to name names, he found two other funding sources who offered to step up and fill the gap. And they turned down both of those funding sources. So that's questionable to me. Why are they doing that? And we do have a huge shortage of affordable housing in town. So if they're not meeting that need, I think that's on them. And we shouldn't allow them to proceed with not meeting the requirements that they agreed to. Thank you.
All right, I am looking for a motion. Whoop. Got a motion by Sechrist? Oh, okay. I didn't. All right, motion by Sechrist, second by Roberts. They're saying to deny the, am I correct in assuming, deny the request from the group to reduce from 30 to 22 units? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. That takes us to item 38. Confirm the appointments of Leslie Magnuson Hilliard, Greg Hansen, Holly Howie, Matthew Hasvold, Reese New, Lloyd LaCroix, Mary Drum, Matt James, and John Kaiser as committee chair to the Vision Fund Citizen Committee. Motion by Roseland, second by Maher to approve. Councilor Evans?
And just for the public record, I have nothing against these lovely Rapid Cityans. I'm opposed to this particular plan that they will be controlling 12 million. I believe it should be the entire, is it up to 91 million now? Going with what the voters approved many, many years ago. So I'm going to say no to most of these Vision Fund things in the upcoming meetings. Just so you know.
The motion on the floor is to approve. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with one no from Evans. Item 39, a request by Advanced Design Engineering and Surveying, Inc. for Murphy Ranch LLC for preliminary subdivision plan for proposed Lot 10 through 25 and 26W through 26Y of Block 14, Lots 6 through 19 of Block 16, Lots 1 through 10, and Drainage Lot 3 of Block 18 of Murphy Ranch Estates subdivision, generally described as being located north of Highway 44, south of Black Powder Road, and east of Reservoir Road. The recommendations to approve with stipulations. Motion by Ham, second by Roberts to approve with stipulations. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 40, request by Davis Engineering, Inc. for Reeb Family Trust for preliminary subdivision plan for lots A and B of Lot 7D of Lot 7 of Marshall subdivision, generally described as being located southwest of the intersection of Homestead Street and Glenside Street. The recommendations to approve with stipulations. Motion by Lehman, second by Roseland to approve with stipulations. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 41, a request by Long Branch Civil Engineering, Inc. for 605 Capital LLC for preliminary subdivision plan for Lot 1 through Lot 6 of Block 1, Lot 1 through Lot 11 of Block 2, Lot 1 through Lot 5 of Block 3, Lot 1 through Lot 20 of Block 4, Lot 1 of Block 5, Lot 1 through Lot 6 of Block 6, Lot 9 through Lot 11 of Block 7 of View Ridge subdivision, generally described as being located southwest of the current western terminus of Gainsborough Drive. The recommendations to approve with stipulations. Motion by Ham, second by Roberts. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the end of the non-consent items. We will move on to the consent public hearing items. Open public hearing items 42 through 48, and open public hearing, which is the comments for items 42 through 48. I do not have any requests for those items, so we are closing the public hearing for items 42 through 48 and moving to the consent public hearing items 42 through 46. Would the council wish to remove any items for separate consideration or vote on the remaining items? Okay. Motion to approve 42 through 46 by Sechrist with a second by Maher. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the end of consent public hearing calendar, and we will move on to non-consent public hearing items 47 through 48. Item 47, a second reading of ordinance number 6650, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Advanced Design Engineering and Surveying, Inc. for Indian Holdings, LLC, for a rezone request from medium density residential district to office commercial district for property generally described as being located southeast of North Haynes Avenue and Country Road. Motion by Lehman, second by Maher to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 48, second reading of ordinance number 6651, an ordinance amending section 17.06 of the Rapid City Municipal Code, a request by Advanced Design Engineering and Surveying, Inc. for Indian Holdings, LLC, for a rezone request from medium density residential district to general commercial district for property generally described as being located southeast of the intersection of North Haynes Avenue and Country Road. Councilor Evans, the floor is yours.
I don't really have an opinion on this, and I think it should be approved, but I do want to make a comment about rezonings in general. You know, the fastest arterials we have are the ones that pass through residential areas. Jackson Boulevard, Haynes from Anamosa to North Street, or up there. And I see the encroachment that happens periodically. Right now, the corner of Anamosa and Haynes, rezoned from residential to commercial. And I just want us to be aware that when we do pass some of these rezoning things, it has an effect on how the traffic flows in the city. And if you can imagine all of Haynes Avenue, or North Fifth, whatever you want to call it, becoming commercial, that adds to the commute time, and we have to be aware of how people travel in the town. So just rezoning it all the time because somebody asked for it is not something we should always be doing. So I'm just putting that out there so that we can be aware of these changes that happen, their insidious encroachment upon residential areas, until eventually you end with a bunch of half-empty commercial buildings and the city leapfrogs out. And a textbook example, if you take any urban design classes, was West Colfax Street in Denver. That for 2 miles was a dead zone for 25 years in there. So we want to make sure as people go and do infill things, we're not rezoning in such a way that it actually hurts us in the future. Thank you.
Okay, motion on the floor is to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the bill list, and for that, we'll go to Finance Director Daniel Ainsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The bills total tonight $12,570,069.45.
Motion by Roberts, second by Roseland to approve. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn? Motion by Lehman, second by Roberts to adjourn. All in favor? Any opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.